Today is December 5th. 2014, we just finished a site visit. We had visitors from Freemont School District 79 in Mundelein come in tour today, as well as Skokie School District 68. These schools traveled anywhere from 20 to 50 miles to come on today's site visits. So, Morton, why don't you tell us about what schools we visited today?
Today we went to Emerson, and my group visited kindergarten, 2nd, and 5th, and we also went to Heritage, and at Heritage we saw 6th, 7th, and 8th.
6th, 7th, and 8th. So
your group?
My group, we saw...
For the elementary?
For elementary, we saw kindergarten, we saw 2nd grade, and we saw 5th grade. And then at the middle school, we saw mostly 8th grade. And then, I'm not sure, was Rachel Letiza?
I don't know.
6th, 7th, or 8th grade. Because of the looping, I get confused. But we saw a science class and math and literature over at Heritage. So as you were walking some of these visitors around, I think we had just around 15 guests. What were some of the things, or even at the beginning of the day, what were some of the things that this group of visitors were asking about South Burrowing?
So we've had almost 700 visitors through our doors in the last 3 years, which is huge. Yeah. I don't know that there are too many other districts that can say that. Mm-hmm. So this particular group, when they come, and they're at all different points in their journey. For instance, one of the women that was here, this is her 3rd time here, yet they're still only have one grade level that's 1-to-1, and it didn't even seem like the whole grade level is fully 1-to-1. So people are at many different points in their journey, and this group was specifically asking about deployment. Where do you get the money? How do you start? How do you, what are the rules that you set up? The PBI, the PBI, we do use PBIS expectations for take home, for damage. How does all of that work? So they were very much interested in the very beginning stages of how you put the things in place to set up the system that we have now.
I would agree, because also the other school district, they're still in the process of deciding which device they want to go with. So I did refer everyone to our 1-to-1 handbook that is on our 1-to-1 website. It's an iBook. I hope to get it up in iTunes soon. But it's an iBook that is kind of has all of our expectations that we go through with our parents, the discipline guidelines and all that. So that's available for anyone to go ahead and download and take it, whatever pieces that you'd like of it. What do you think the visitors, let's talk about kind of like going into the classrooms and walking around. So what were the visitors most excited to see when you were walking around?
So we did Emerson first, and then we did Heritage. So what they commented, the group that I was with second commented the most about was the continuum, not only mostly of the technology skills, because that's here what they're focusing on, but also the writing skills and the math skills. That there's just, even them as educators, you don't always get to see that side by side or in one day, or sort of have that light bulb moment about really how far do we take these kids. And so, and we had a long discussion about building on those skills, and how every year of 1-to-1 and now every year of doing Common Core skills, the next grade levels are thankful for the work that the younger teachers are doing, because we're really climbing up that ladder and building the foundation correctly for the next grade.
Yeah. I think the visitors were just really excited just to see it in action. You talk about 1-to-1, you talk about student engagement, you talk about this app or that program, but to be just physically and see the kids actually doing. I remember one of the visitors actually said, we walked in and she said, wait, this is 2nd grade, and the child was on their laptop and clicking on this app and opening it up and going here, and actually I think she had said that something was wrong with the application. Something went wrong with the application, and the student was able to troubleshoot right there on their own. They closed it out, they restarted the application, and then it worked just fine. So she was really excited to see that. Specifically, what was going on in the classrooms? Is there any teacher that you want to give a special shout out to? I mean, I know we as an instructional coach department, we're in classrooms all the time in the district. We have 150 plus classrooms across 8 buildings. So what really struck you today on today's visit?
So my shout out goes to John Smith. He was really knocking it out of the park. Social studies at Heritage, 8th grade, I think he's doing this year. So the kids have been working on a civil rights unit, and he had a Google form with embedded videos, and the job of the children was to compare and to contrast Malcolm X and Martin Luther King during those years of the 60s civil rights movement. They had actually moved out of, I believe, like the Emancipation Proclamation and sort of the Jim Crow, so the 1800s, and now into the 60s when, the movement flares up again. And so really, I learned some things, right? It's awesome when you go into a classroom and you've got these kids who are really doing things, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm learning something. So John, great job, good videos, interesting stuff about Malcolm X, especially that I didn't know about. So it was good to be in there.
Good. My shout out goes to Katie Suomi and Jane Monaco, 5th grade teachers at Emerson, who I do believe Miss Lindsay Fairbanks was doing the same content in her 5th grade classroom as well. But what I loved about in their classroom is that, well, first of all, I walked in the room and I walked right up to the student and I said, hey, what are you working on? She talked my ear off for 5 straight minutes, but I knew everything that was happening and still looking around, and everyone was on a different task. Basically, they were given the same 3 Time for Kids articles, and she held the article in her hand and she was reading through it. She's like, okay, and then now my job is to take what I learned here and create something with it. So then she brings out this other paper that is a tic-tac-toe, and there's like 6 different boxes, and there's all these different options. You could make a movie, you can make an iMovie, you can make a keynote, make a brochure, or an interview. You can like, what would you ask, what types of questions would you ask the author who wrote this article? So she was showing me her keynote, and then flipping through it, it was about why sugar is bad for you, but she came up with her own title and added pictures and all this. And then I was actually asking her about the interview questions. I said, wow, wouldn't it be cool if you could actually like talk to this author? And she said, oh my gosh, that would make me feel so proud of all this work that I've done. But I just loved the lesson because it took the reading piece, reading all the content, and then those kids had to take what they learned and apply it to the technology integration, and then they were given a choice and do that they were able to do. And all the kids not everybody was making a keynote. There were kids in iMovie, there were kids in all different apps. So there's my shout out to the 5th grade team at Emerson. At the end of the day, after we went to Emerson and Heritage, then we came back to the district office and had a briefing here, just a question and answer from the group. But a special thank you to Jenny Feltz and Jean Suki from Emerson, who joined the briefing, and John Smith and Sue Butler from Emerson to join the briefing, and Dr. Field, superintendent, to come and be a part of this question and answer session. Finally, we'd like to add with 2 quotes from our evaluations from today. So go ahead,
Okay,
Mona.
I'll do mine first. So one of the visitors said to us in the eval, great student engagement, which is why we named our tech conference coming up in May, I Engage, because that is a comment that we get all the time, most often, I would say. Please pass along a big thank you to the students and staff at the buildings.
And my comment I'd like to share is, I really enjoyed the welcome to get a sense of your technology journey. Classrooms I enjoyed the most were ones we got to see students in action working on a project. I did like seeing the skill-based subscription programs, but got the most excited to see students creating and making, which I think we saw a lot today. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you at the next site visit.